174, What Do You Think About Remakes? Featuring Andrew and Cassie. Today, joining me for this episode is my co-host Cassie. Hello, Cassie.
Hey, Andrew, and hey, listeners.
Hope
you're all doing well. Great to be here.
Today,
Actually this morning, we are talking about what we should talk about on
for
simplified speech
and you came up
for
with a
this
great
episode.
idea.
And you came up with a great idea.
So maybe I'll throw things over to you to let us hear about
for
today.
what our topic is for today.
Okay, so
we're going to talk about
remakes.
I don't know exactly when this episode will come
out,
out,
but
but
talking about the idea,
when we are talking about the idea, The Little Mermaid live action remake
has just been
debuted
like a week ago. And
like a
The Little
week ago.
Mermaid has been getting a lot of attention in the media.
And The Little Mermaid has been getting a lot of attention in the media.
Some people are really excited about this remake, and I thought this would be
Some are not, and I thought this would be a great topic.
Not just The Little Mermaid.
It would be a good topic to talk about, not just The Little Mermaid,
but
remakes
in general.
Yeah, and as soon as I heard your suggestion,
I thought it was amazing because I was also reading about video game remakes this week.
So it was kind of a coincidence that you brought this topic up, and
so it was kind of a coincidence that you brought this topic up.
And I have
been thinking about remakes as well.
And so I think we'll have a lot to talk about.
And so I think we'll have a lot to talk about.
And with that being said, I think we should jump into our main topic for today.
And with that being said, I think we should jump into our main topic for today.
So Cassie, our topic is remakes.
So Cassie, our topic is remakes.
And like you mentioned, at the top of the show, there is a brand new remake of The Little Mermaid, the classic story, The Little Mermaid,
which was originally a Disney animated film. Originally
it was a book.
Originally a Disney animated film, I guess.
Book, right? A children's book.
That's true.
Yes, originally it was a book, right? A children's.
I guess originally it was a book, right? A children's book.
That's true. Yes.
That's true. Yes.
And then the book was remade into the animated movie in the.
Yes, and then the. Yes, and then the book was remade into the animated movie.
Early 90s, and then the book was remade into the animated movie in the early 90s,
the early 90s. Yes, and then the book was remade. The book was remade into the animated movie in the early 90s.
Then finally, now, just this year, 2023.
And then finally, now, just this year, in 2023,
we have the live action movie. And maybe we should talk about what a live action movie is.
And maybe we should talk about what a live action movie is.
What is the difference between an animated film and a live action film, Cassie?
What is the difference between an animated film and a live action film, Cassie? Animated film, live action film. What is the difference between an animated film and a live action film, Cassie? 애니메이션 영화, 실사판 영화. A live action film.
An animated film is just made through artwork, animation,
An animated film is just made through artwork animation. An animated film is just made through artwork animation.
However, a live action film is made completely through live actors and CGI for the animal characters usually.
However, a live action film is made completely through live actors and CGI for the animal characters usually.
Have you seen this movie yet, Cassie the Little
Now, have you seen this movie yet, Cassie, The Little Mermaid?
Mermaid? Or are you planning to?
Are you
I
planning
am
to?
planning to see it. I have not seen it yet, but
I'm planning to see it. I have not seen it yet, but
I have seen
I have
several
seen
of the other
somewhat
recent Disney remakes, such as Jungle Book, Lion King, Aladdin.
Aladdin. I'm planning to see it. 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 I have not seen it yet. I have not seen it.
I have not seen it yet, but
I have not seen it yet.
I have not seen it yet, but
I have not seen it yet. I have not seen it yet. I have not seen it yet, but I have
seen several of the other somewhat recent Disney remakes, such as
The Jungle Book,
Lion King,
Aladdin.
You're a little bit more knowledgeable about this than I am.
You're a little bit more knowledgeable about this than I am. Knowledgeable. You are a little bit more knowledgeable about this. You are a little bit more. You are a little bit more knowledgeable about this than I am.
Knowledgeable about this, knowledgeable about
Knowledgeable. You're a little bit more knowledgeable about this than I am because
I haven't seen any of those remakes, unfortunately, but I have seen the originals,
but I have seen the originals, and
I'll try my best to follow along. Maybe
I will try my best to follow along.
Cassie, you can answer more of the questions about the differences between the originals and the remakes.
Maybe Cassie, you can answer more of the questions about the differences between the originals and the remakes.
Cassie, you can answer more of the questions about the differences between the originals and the remakes. But you can answer more of the questions about the differences.
You can answer more of the questions about the differences between the originals
and the remakes.
You're a little bit more knowledgeable about this than I am because I haven't seen any of those remakes, unfortunately. But I have seen the originals, and I will try my best to follow along. Maybe Cassie, you can answer more of the questions. About the differences between the. You're a little bit more knowledgeable about this than I am because I haven't seen any of those remakes, unfortunately. But I have seen the originals. I have seen the originals, and I will try my best to follow along. Maybe Cassie, you can answer more of the questions about the differences between the originals and the remakes.
But let's go back to The Little Mermaid for a second. because there is a lot of controversy around this film.
Because there is a lot of controversy around this film. Controversy. There is a lot of controversy around this film because there is a lot of controversy around this film.
And I think right off the bat, when I hear about the remake, I think it's going to be a little bit controversial.
I think it's going to be a little bit controversial. Right off the bat, when I hear about a remake, I think it's going to be a little bit controversial. I think it's going to be a little bit controversial. Controversial. It's going to be a little bit controversial. Controversial. Because
there are the purists.
And
a purist is someone who just really believes that the original is best.
A purist is someone who just really believes that the original is the best, right?
Right. So
there are maybe Little Mermaid purists
like, there's no way that you could beat the original.
Well, like there's no way that you can beat
the original animated movie. You could beat the original.
There's no way
that you could beat the original.
There's no way that you can beat the original.
There's no way that you could beat the original.
There's no way that you can beat the original. There's no way that you can beat the original. There's no way that you can beat the original.
The original animated movie is so good.
The original animated movie is so good.
Perfect. It's a classic.
It's a classic. And if you remake that story again, it will maybe ruin the story a little bit more, ruin the kind of nostalgia that person has. Nostalgia. Ruin the kind of nostalgia
that person has about or ruin the story a little bit, or ruin the kind of nostalgia that person has about the original film. So I think
original the original animated movie is so nostalgia that person has about the original animated films. So I think
right off the bat
it's controversial. But this movie in particular is extra controversial.
Maybe we should talk a little bit about why that is.
Maybe we should talk a little bit about why that is.
Could you give us some details?
Nostalgia. Particular. Extra controversial. Controversy. Original.
Yeah, sure. This one is a little bit more controversial because the main actress that was hired, Halle Bailey, is extremely talented and makes a perfect mermaid. But she looks very different from the original Ariel. Has flowing red hair. The original Ariel has flowing red hair. blue eyes, pale skin, and Halle Bailey is an African-American young woman.
African-American young woman. African-American young woman.
And so they look very different. And people, the purists, as you say, are like, we want her to look exactly like the animated.
We want her to look exactly like the animated character.
And others are saying the Little Mermaid is a fictional character and mermaids are not real.
And others are saying the Little Mermaid is a fictional character and mermaids are not real. Mermaids are not real.
Whichever actress best fits the role should be allowed.
Whichever actress best fits the role should be
allowed to play it. And that's the controversy that's happening.
And that's the controversy that's happening right now.
Right. And so really, in my opinion, kind of a stupid controversy because it's a mermaid. Mermaids aren't real. Sorry to break it to
mermaids aren't real. Sorry to break it to everybody.
At least as far as I know. Sorry to break it to everybody. At least.
Sorry to break it to everybody. Sorry to break it to everybody. Sorry to break it to everybody. Sorry to break it to you. Sorry to break it. Sorry to break. Sorry to break it to. Sorry to break it to everybody. Sorry to break it to you. At least.
As far as I know. Ocean scientists have never discovered a mermaid.
So I think
doesn't matter the race of the
this is stupid. Like doesn't matter the race of the
person playing the role because mermaids aren't real. I don't really understand the controversy, but
So I don't really understand the controversy. I don't really understand the controversy. I don't really understand the controversy. So I don't really understand the controversy.
Some people,
I think there are the purists, right, who don't want the original,
right, who don't want the original story changed.
Who don't want the original story changed. Who don't want the original. Who don't want the original story changed.
Also a kind of racial element with some racist people who are,
Also our kind of racial elements with some racist people who are who don't want the original story changed. Also our kind of racial elements with some racist people who are, against having a black actress play the role.
Against having a black actress play the role,
which extra stupid in my opinion. In fact, Cassie, I was reading today that IMDb. You're familiar with that website, right?
It stands for the Internet Movie Database, and
I believe it stands for the Internet Movie Database, and
it's a place where many English speakers go if a review or. It's a place where many English speakers go if we want to find a review.
It's a place where many English speakers go if we want to find a review, or it's a place where many English speakers go if we want to find a review or a rating for a movie.
I think it's owned by
Amazon.com actually. So
it has an affiliation. That's what I read in the article. I just looked. actually, so it has an affiliation.
So it has an affiliation. So it has an affiliation. That's what I read in the
That's what I read in the article. I just learned that.
Read in the article. Article.
The article. I just learned that. The article. I just learned that today too.
I just learned that today too.
And so the IMDb actually had to change their algorithm for the reviews that they receive. On this website,
because on this website, you can upload your own review after watching a movie. So the website shows you reviews of people who have watched the film, who are not like professional critics, right?
Well,
they are just like what the audience thinks generally. Well,
the IMDb,
they announced
this movie, The Little Mermaid,
that for this movie,
they had to switch their algorithm.
The Little Mermaid, they had to switch their algorithm
because they were receiving so many negative.
Because they were receiving. Because they were receiving so many negative reviews.
Reviews like 1-star reviews,
like 1-star reviews,
that you can give on,
which is the lowest review that you can give on that
website is a 1-star review. And they said that it wasn't necessarily individual users, but it was like a bot attack. But it was like a bot attack. So somebody went out of their way to like program some kind of bot attack to give this movie a bunch of 1-star reviews, and we don't know why exactly. Like it might be there's like some Little Mermaid purists who think that the live action remake goes away from the original story. But it could also be about the
racist element
maybe some racist people hating that,
with maybe some racist people having that a black character is so prominently a black character is so prominently displayed in the film.
So I don't know exactly
why that is happening. It's interesting, but also kind of sad, I think.
It is.
For me, I didn't have a problem with Halle Bailey being the main character.
From the commercials that I've seen.
But from the commercials that I've seen,
I'm a little horrified by how Flounder looks in the
live remake.
Flounder is so cute
in the animation, and real live fish is just not as cute as an animated fish. And he looked kind of creepy in the trailers that I've seen so far.
I don't know why people are debating about the creepy Flounder rather than
I don't know why people aren't debating about the creepy Flounder rather than
the beautiful actress
we have singing for us.
Well, like Finding Nemo. Nemo's an animated.
Well, like Finding Nemo. Nemo is an animated
fish that's
cute.
So
maybe they could do it like in some areas, I haven't seen
other than the poster.
Anything about this movie other than the poster, so I can't really comment.
And get back to you, Cassie.
But I will have to check that out and get back to you, Cassie.
I'm sorry to hear
about Flounder.
He might give you nightmares.
He might give you nightmares.
Cassie,
he might give you nightmares.
I was thinking about this issue today, and
Cassie, I was thinking about this issue today, and
I realized something a little bit strange.
I realized something a little bit strange.
I want to know your opinion about this. maybe
I wanna know your opinion about this. I wanna know your opinion about this.
my
And
opinion, my feeling
Maybe my opinion, my feeling is
is wrong,
wrong,
and I need to check
and
it.
I
I'm
need
not
to
sure.
check it.
But
I'm not
for
sure.
a fictional movie,
But for a fictional movie,
like The
like
Little
The
Mermaid,
Little
I don't really
Mermaid,
care if they change the race or the place.
I don't really care if they change the race or the place,
If they want to change
If they
some
want to
elements
change
to
some
remix
elements
and
to
retell the story,
remix
and especially
and retell the story, and especially
an old
an
story,
older
if
story, if they want to
update it
update it for a modern
because a movie
audience,
that's 30 plus years old,
because a movie that's 30 plus years old,
something that we
something
love
that
from
we
our
love from our
childhood, but if we were
childhood,
to show it to kids today, maybe they would
but
say, oh, it's old-fashioned, they don't want to watch. But if we were to show it to kids today, maybe
but if we're to show it to kids today, maybe
they would say, oh, it's old-fashioned,
oh,
they
it's
don't want to watch
old,
it, right? So
oh, it's old-fashioned, they don't want to watch it, right?
it could be like a way to connect with children these days too, right? To share
So it could be like a way to connect with the children these days too, right? To share
our
our
stories
stories with them is by remaking a movie.
But for remakes that are
fictional,
change the characters, change
I don't care, change the characters, change the place,
change the setting,
a little bit, tweak it,
relevant
make it
for today. That's cool.
tweak it, make it relevant for today. That's cool. Tweak it, make it relevant for today. That's cool. Make it relevant for today.
But if it's a historical story,
But if it's an historical story,
if it's not fictional,
It's not
but it's like
fictional.
a real story, then
but it's like a real story, then then
that kind of makes me wonder, like, should we
then that kind of makes me wonder, like, should we
be tweaking,
tweaking the
the
character?
Should we be tweaking
character should we be tweaking the characters?
the languages? This especially drives me crazy. Should we be tweaking the languages?
Should we be tweaking the languages?
This especially
This drives me crazy if it's like a story that takes place, maybe in Spain or Japan or China.
Speaking English.
China, and the characters are speaking English. I hate this. Like, it almost makes me wanna not
Why are
watch.
they speaking English?
Like, it almost makes me wanna not watch the movie.
Like, it almost makes me want to not watch the movie. I'm like, it almost makes me want to not watch the movie. I'm like, why? Almost makes me want to not watch the movie.
Wanna not watch the movie. Makes me wanna not watch the movie.
I'm like, why are they speaking English in
Like,
Japan?
they should
They should be speaking Japanese,
Like they should be speaking Japanese,
So
that kind of thing really drives me up the wall a little
What are your
bit.
feelings about that? If it's not
What are your feelings about that? If it's not a
a fictional story,
Fictional
but
story.
a non-fictional story.
but a non-fictional story.
Honestly, even for
Even for a fictional
I
story,
think it depends.
honestly, even for fictional stories, I think it depends on the context.
Because there was actually a controversy
There was actually a controversy a few years ago
Ghost in the Shell,
Ghost in the Shell, which is
I don't know much about Ghost in the Shell.
I mean, I don't know much about Ghost in the Shell,
No, but I believe
it
started as some sort of Japanese sci-fi franchise or comic.
Yeah, I think it's an anime originally.
Yeah, I think it's an anime originally. Anime. I think it's an anime originally.
Anime,
Yeah, anime.
And that one, the main character in the live action remake.
The main character. Yeah, that one. The main character in the live action
was played by Scarlett Johansson, and that caused a bit of an uproar as well. And that one, the main character in the live action remake was played by Scarlett Johansson. That caused a bit of an uproar as well,
and that caused a bit of an uproar as well, but
the reverse, instead
of
a white character being replaced by instead of a white character being being replaced by a person of color, it was
being replaced by a person of color.
An Asian character being replaced by a white character.
It was an Asian character being replaced by a white character. It was Asian character being replaced by a white character, and it got the same hate. Not quite as much hate as this one, but a lot of hate.
I think it's hard.
So I don't know. I think it's hard. The world we live in, like there's so many different cultures that we're all blending together.
As we progress into the 21st century,
as we progress into the 21st century, we are trying to be more diverse in our roles. But because of that, you're gonna run into conflicts in whatever scenario you do.
In my case, I like to watch films and
entertainment for that. Entertainment value. I'm not really angry whoever plays the character. That's not really my style. But I understand people who do get angry by that because they wanna be represented correctly.
Your culture to be changed.
Or you don't want your culture to be changed.
So if you have an original that you feel like a deep connection to, and then the character has changed into something
that is not what you expected, I cannot understand that.
But we all have to kind of step back and also realize.
But we all have to kind of step back and also realize, as you said, these characters are fictional, and we should try to take it at face value. We should try to take it at face value. We should try to take it at face value and just know we're here to enjoy it, have fun, no matter who's the lead. No matter who is playing the lead.
I can't ever imagine personally getting that upset over a fictional series. There's no movie that I love so much that
there's no movie that I love so much that if
they remade it, that I would be upset enough to even leave a review.
that I would be upset enough to even
on the
leave
internet,
a
let
review
alone,
on
you
the
know,
internet,
get angry.
let
And
alone
it's not like the original
get
is
angry. And it's not like the original is
suddenly
gone,
right? It's like
right?
the original still exists. Like, you know,
It's like the original still exists.
always go
Like
back
you
and
can
watch that.
always go back and
Cassie,
watch
what do you
that.
think? Like, as you mentioned a little earlier, there are
Cassie, what do you think? Like, as you mentioned a little earlier, there are so many Disney remakes these days. Like they have been kind of going into
and selecting those films.
They have been kind of going into the archive and
Films that are maybe now around
selecting those films that are maybe now
the 30-year-old mark, but that were
the 30-year-old mark, but
really successful in the 80s and 90s.
and about that were really successful in the 80s and 90s, and
They've been remaking them, and
they've been remaking them, and
it's not just
it's not
Disney.
just Disney. There are other movie production companies doing this as well.
You know, all
Like
of
we've
the
seen,
comic book
all of the comic book
characters being remade from comic book
characters being remade from comic book
into their own movies as well.
Into their own movies as well.
And yeah, as I mentioned, also video games. There's a lot of
As I mentioned, also video games. There's a lot of
old classic
video games that
these days.
that are getting remakes these days.
Do you think that this is just a money grab?
Do you think that this is just a money grab? Are the production studios just doing this to make money? Or is there something else motivating them to make all these remakes?
Yeah, honestly, I kind of think it is a money grab.
I kind of think it is a money grab.
I don't know if this is true, but I heard the reason why
they are making all these remakes is because of copyright issues, like the copyright contracts for those films were
coming to a
close.
So for Disney to keep full rights of those films,
they had to produce something new
that used those same characters. Again, I don't know if that's true, but that's what I've read, and it makes a lot of.
But that's what I've read, and it makes a lot of sense to me. It makes a lot of sense to me.
If that was the case,
why they're making all of these remakes?
I also think that they realized how much of a hit it was for our generation.
How much of a hit it was for our generation.
Or the generation before us. And our kids are now growing up, and they think, who do kids watch movies with?
Who do kids watch movie with?
Parents.
Their
this
parents.
Generation, yes.
This generation, yes. So
if you
make a remake of a movie that your parents love, maybe it will sell more movie tickets because your parents can go back and watch the characters they loved in the past, and now the kids can fall in love with them too.
Gotta milk those franchises for every penny, I suppose.
They gotta milk those franchise for every penny, I suppose.
But
it
does
make a lot of sense from a business perspective, in my opinion. I'm sure in those board meetings that they were like, yeah, this is a good idea, let's do it, let's remake these movies. And yeah, I think it has been financially successful for them as well. I was talking about video games earlier, and
are
I think
a little
video
bit different
games are a little bit different because, you know, a lot of the games from my childhood that I grew up with,
when you try to play them now, they're still good from a nostalgia.
They are still good from a nostalgia
perspective, but like the graphics are outdated.
But like the graphics are outdated.
It's hard to play them because
it's hard to play. Often it's hard to play them because the video game machines themselves are kind of outdated and don't work very well.
Slow or chunky,
or sometimes are just slow or chunky, or
sometimes
it's even hard to hook them up to. Sometimes it's even hard to hook them up to your TV these days.
Technology has changed so much, so
because the technology has changed so much. Technology. Technology.
Because the technology has changed so much. To update a video game with new graphics
and to make it with new graphics
and for a modern video game console,
modern video game console. That is really exciting to me. I'm all for that. And often that in that situation too, they just remake the game, or maybe they add some like bonus levels at the end or something. But they are not changing the story. They are not changing the character. It's like the same game, just modern. So I love that, and there's been a slew of announcements about video game remakes. Although I played the games when I was younger a lot, I haven't played any for a long time. But one game that I heard is getting remade is Metal Gear Solid, which was a favorite of mine when I was younger. So I thought maybe I'll have to go and buy a PlayStation so I can play the new Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah, I think the cool thing about video games is they don't really feel like remakes.
They don't really feel like remakes.
Because
even though you use the same characters,
you have slightly different storylines, and you can take the nostalgic parts and meld them really well.
You can take the nostalgic parts and meld them
with the more modern parts. For example,
with the more modern parts. For example,
Super Mario World with the Yoshi characters and Princess. The Super Mario World with the Yoshi.
The Super Mario
World with the Yoshi.
The Super Mario World with the Yoshi
characters and Princess Peach and Daisy.
They're timeless.
Pokemon is another one that's timeless.
Pokemon is another one that's timeless.
Whole new island.
Whole new island.
The whole new adventure. Same style.
Fighting Pokemon. And what's another one?
Zelda. About milking a franchise.
Yeah.
Talking about milking a franchise.
Nintendo is good at that as well.
Nintendo is good at that as well. Agreed.
Agreed.
So good.
So
Almost no one
good.
has bad reviews about
Almost no one has bad reviews about them.
though. I mean, you'll
I
get
mean-
like, I like this better in the old version.
I mean, it would get like, I like this better in the old version, but
But people still play it.
But
Yeah.
people still play it.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. It's always exciting when your favorite
comes out with a new version.
franchise comes out with a new version.
Speaking of Zelda,
there's a brand new Zelda game out as
Some
well.
of my friends back home in Canada have been playing it.
And some of my friends back home in Canada have been playing
It's
it,
made me
and
again
it's
want to go
made me-
out and buy it.
and it's made me again want to go out and
Nintendo just so
buy
I
a
can play the
Nintendo
new
just
Zelda.
so I can
don't
play
know.
the
I'll
new
see if I
Zelda.
can find the time to do that, but yeah, it's exciting.
So I don't know. I will see if I can find the time to do that. But yeah, it's exciting
To have
things
things
that we grew up with that are nostalgic,
remade,
remade, and
it's nice that
it's nice
in a
that
way
it's
that the
a-
companies don't let these stories
it's nice that in a way that the companies don't let these stories
die,
Die,
that they're
right.
continuing on. But also,
they are continuing on. But also
I can see the other side of the coin.
I can see the other side of the coin
There's like maybe some new stories and
where it's like maybe some new stories and
so creativity could go a long
some creativity could go a long way in the future as well.
Yeah,
Yeah,
or,
or
taking a
fusion of the young and old. Some of my favorite works of entertainment in the past few years were in the movie Wreck-It
Even
Ralph.
this is several years old now, but
I mean, even this is several years old now, but
Wreck-It Ralph
Wreck-It
took
La-
all of the best
Wreck-It Ralph took all of the best
video games and arcade games from
the
80s and
the 80s and 90s and put them into a film
where Wreck-It
where
Ralph
Wreck-It Ralph is like an 80s arcade game character, and then he becomes best friends with
P, who is, early 2000s with Vanilla P, who
Penelope, who is
is,
early 2000 arcade game character, and the way that they meld and coexist with Donkey Kong and Pac-Man and all the other modern characters were so fun to watch.
sounds right up my alley.
Sounds right up my alley. I'm surprised that I haven't heard
I'll
of it,
have to check that out. Wreck-It Ralph.
but I will have to check that out. Wreck-It Ralph. All right.
But I'll have to check that out. Wreck-It Ralph. All right.
Yeah, and then also Ready Player One
Yeah, and then also Ready Player One
was a really famous book and movie.
I think that takes,
nostalgic pieces from the past and then really
nostalgic piece from the past and nostalgic. Nostalgic pieces from the past, and they really
livens them up with a whole new setting and idea.
I'll leave on this note, Cassie, because
I will leave on this note, Cassie, because I'm sure we could go on and on
about this topic, but
go on and on about this topic. But
the trailer
for the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie was just released,
which I think is being produced or created by Seth
Rogen, the comedian, and I didn't watch the trailer because I was worried. So maybe I'm contradicting myself now.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was a big part of my childhood. Maybe I'm contradicting myself now because Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was a big part of my childhood. I even have photos of me dressing up as a teenage mutant
Ninja Turtle for Halloween. So I loved it when I was a kid. I loved the video game, I loved the cartoon, I loved the live action movie as well. But now they're remaking it. But now they're remaking it, and I didn't watch the trailer because I thought, what if it's bad? Maybe it will kind of spoil the franchise and my nostalgia for me. So
maybe I am a little bit
I guess maybe I'm a little bit more
passionate
about this topic than I originally stated now than I think of it. It depends on which character it is.
Yeah, and Seth Rogen in general is a pretty fun.
Seth Rogen in general is a pretty funny guy, so I'm gonna put my faith in him that he's true to the original.
So Cassie and I are keeping our
conversation going for a little while longer here, and we've prepared some fun rapid fire style questions, and let's jump into them, Cassie. Number one, I don't know if you have an answer for this off the top of your head, but that makes rapid fire fun. What's one movie or video game that you think should never be remade?
I do have an answer because I read the question ahead of schedule, so I got one in my brain. And it's kind of a cult classic.
This movie was pretty low budget, and it's kind of a cult classic. I never want it to be remade, and that is The Princess Bride. Good answer. Such a good movie, and
it's not even like an amazing movie.
It's not even like an amazing movie,
but it's just
so full of great one-liners, and the characters are so quirky.
They cannot be remade. Impossible. Inconceivable.
They cannot be remade. Impossible. Inconceivable. I agree with you completely. That's a great choice, and I think that movie is very funny. It's got a lot of comedic elements to it.
A lot of
really unique actors like Andre the Giant.
Where else are you gonna find a guy like that?
Where else are you gonna find a guy like that? So I think any comedy, some of my favorite movies are those
I think I've talked about Dumb and
like 90s comedies. I think I've talked about Dumb and Dumber on Felix a lot. It's my favorite comedy, and you could never remake that. Like Jim Carrey's
actor that there would be no.
He's such a unique comedic actor that there would be nobody that could play him to the same extent.
Would never work. All of my favorite comedies.
It just would never work. And all of my favorite
from when I was younger, I
wouldn't touch them.
I agree.
I would never
the actor
try
was
to remake
born
them.
to play that role, and nobody can.
I agree. The actor was born to play that role, and nobody can replace them.
Cassie, have you ever seen
a movie remake that you think is better than the original? Is it possible to improve on the original, or do we always just think that the remakes are not as good?
That's a good
question. I saw remake. This one is not super recent, but it was a Disney remake. It was the Mulan remake. I really like some of the new songs in that remake.
I love the old songs
too,
but I thought some of the new songs were.
But I thought some of the new songs were like
like a head bopper. So
a head
yeah,
bopper.
that
So
remake,
yeah,
the song
remake, the
choice,
song choice, top
I
notch.
haven't seen
I haven't
the
seen
original,
the original, but many people have told me that the new Dune movie is better than the original
So
Dune
I saw
movie.
the
I saw
newest
the
Dune
newest
movie,
Dune
and it was
movie.
cool.
It was cool. I kind of thought it was a little bit boring, like cool but boring, a little bit long.
Like, I don't know if I want to go back and watch the original per se, because
But I don't know if I want to go back and watch the original per se, because
I heard that
it was just much better than the original.
That's one example I've heard of.
Original. So that's one example I've heard of.
this is something that I've never watched, but I'm actually curious.
This is something that I've never watched, but I'm actually curious about your opinion.
Have you seen all of the Star Wars?
Have you seen all of the Star Wars?
Yeah, I've seen
I've seen all of the original trilogy.
I've seen some of the prequels, but
I've seen some of the prequels, but
I lost
interest in Star Wars.
They started coming out with too many. There's too
They just started coming out with too many
movies and too many characters. And I was never like a huge
passionate fan of the series Star Wars. So yeah.
I know
the originals were life-changing for some people.
When the prequels came out,
the original were life-changing for some people. When the prequels came out,
which were made a lot later, did you think they were up to snuff
with the originals?
No, they were so terrible. I remember.
No, they were so terrible. I remember when the prequels came out, like the Phantom Menace.
I don't remember exactly the name. It might have been the Phantom Menace.
It might have been the Phantom Menace, but there was a character named Jar Jar Binks, and Jar Jar Binks was
laughable.
Just laughable.
Yeah, I just knew right from the start that they were.
I just knew right from the start that they weren't anywhere near the quality of the originals.
Yeah, I've never seen them.
But I was wondering if you've seen them and
but
you
Cassie,
had
I would love to know our listeners' opinions
about this topic, because I think it does bring out a lot of passion in people, and I was surprised to see in myself even how strong my opinions were about this topic.
Guys,
we're gonna throw things over to you. We would love to know what you think. Please let us know by leaving a comment on our website or
even by sending us an email.
Discussion forum, or even by sending us an email. You can reach us at contact@culips.com. So take care everyone, and we'll talk to you in the next episode.
See ya.
Goodbye. See ya. Wow.